I'm Jason, this is Build Apps Without Code, and today we're going to, you guessed it, build apps without code. If you're non-technical and you want to learn how to build apps, you are in the right place. So stick around, because this is part 2 of how to build an Instagram clone in Bubble. Let's go. First, a quick preview of what we did in part 1 and what we're building today. Here's where we left off in part 1. We made this nice home feed here, but we mostly focused on design. So none of these icons here actually do anything yet. Today we're going to start building navigation so that when you click on search or messages or create, it actually goes somewhere. We're also going to build this beautiful slide and menu that Instagram has when you click create. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Go. Okay, let's start with the slide and menu because it's kind of sexy and I know you want it.
Oh yeah.
This is the one that you'll find on the main feed, which we can do, but it's not the one I want. We're going to build this one, which slides in from the bottom that you can find on the profile page on Instagram. This is the more common sliding experience, I think, so we'll just stick with this one for our app. The first thing we're going to need is a floating group. So let's grab it and we'll just drop it somewhere here. And in appearance, we want vertically float relative to the bottom because we want it to stick to the bottom. And horizontally, we can leave on left. That's fine. This is going to be a column layout because things are going to stack on top of each other. And we're going to remove the fixed width and the minimum width we'll set to 0 and minimum height we'll leave for now. Next thing we want to do, if we go to appearance, I'm going to remove this style here because I want there to be a background. Right now it looks transparent, but we want a white background. So I can say flat color white and then it kind of floats on top of everything else, which is what we want. We also want these top corners to be rounded. I only want the top corners, not all of them. So I'm going to define each border independently. And top left we'll say 20, top right 20. It's hard to see, but oh, there, you can see the top corners there are rounded now. I'm also going to put a bit of a shadow on here. So let's go shadow, outset. Let's see, if I did a positive number here, this would go on the bottom. If I did negative, then it kind of goes on the top there, so that's what I want. And for blur, let's try, it looks not bad, and we'll just make it black with maybe 5 to 10 opacity. You can try that. That just gives it that nice little shadow there. Now this shouldn't show all the time, it should only show when you click on the plus icon there. Let's go to plus, start edit workflow. Now we don't want this to just show, we want it to slide in. So I'm actually going to choose animate an element. And the element is our floating group C, which we'll name that better in a second. There's a bunch of different ones here. We can try one and see how it goes. And we'll make it not visible by default. So now when I click on plus, pops in. That one kind of bounced. We don't need the bounce. We just want it to slide in. We'll try no bounce up in. That looks kind of nice. Next thing is we want this background to go a little bit dark so that the focus is on the floating group. So we're going to grab another floating group. Just toss it on the screen. This one we'll call darkness. The other one we'll call create. Now, where did darkness go? Let's go find it. Darkness. This is going to float relative to both. Meaning it's going to touch the top and the bottom. It's going to be the full width of the screen, basically. And if I remove style here, we're going to put a background style on this one as well. But this one's going to be black and transparent. So let's try like 60. Maybe a little less. And if we go to layout, we want this to be full height and width. We can just, I don't think it matters, but we can say column, and there you go. Not fixed width, min width 0. Min height 0. Okay, so it's taken up the whole screen and it's kind of covering everything right now. So So let's make it not visible on screen load, and let's go back to floating group create, arrange, bring to front. So that's going to sit in front of the black screen, which would be behind it. And now when I click plus, it still doesn't show because it's hidden by default. So back to workflow. We're going to do another animate, and we're going to animate the darkness this time. And this one we can fade in, transition fade in. So you saw that preview there, which is kind of nice. Let's fade out, fade in. Define a custom duration. We'll see what the default is like. So when I hit plus, both the floating group slides in and the darkness fades in, and the floating group is sitting in front of the darkness, exactly what we want. But now we don't have any way to get out of this state. We're stuck here. If the user clicks on darkness group, that will exit the menu. So let's try that. We'll start our workflow on floating group darkness. And we'll do like the opposite. So let's go here, copy this, paste, and this was no bounce up in. So let's go no bounce down out, no bounce down out. And the darkness was fading in, but let's fade it out. Okay, click plus, darkness fades in, floating group slides in, click the darkness, darkness fades out, floating group slides down and out. Looking good. Let's start putting some stuff in this floating group. Okay, I want to hide this darkness from the screen, so elements, click the little eyeball and it's gone. I'm gonna need a repeating group inside the floating group so we can show a list of menu options there. So we'll toss that in. We don't have a type of content yet, so we'll work on that in a second. The number of rows, we'll do 4 for now. We might need more, but we'll see. And the columns is 1, that's good. In layout, cell container will be row. Not fixed width. Minimum height, let's drop that to the height of the floating group, which was 250. This will be called repeating group create menu. Okay, so what are we showing in this repeating group? Type of content. We're going to make an option set for this. So head over to data option sets, new option set, and we'll call this create menu. So if we take a look at Instagram again, Instagram has post, reel, story, story highlight, live, guide. Let's just focus on a few of these. We'll do post, reel, story, live. Okay, heading back to the design tab. Now in our repeating group type of content, we can choose our create menu option set. Data source, all create menu. So we want to show all 4 of those options. We don't want to filter them in any way. So as a test, let's just drop this text input here and show the current cell's create menu. Display. And now when we click plus, post, reel, story, live. Perfect. Let's make it look a little nicer though. Okay, well, let's delete this out of the way for now. We'll grab a group, put it in here. This will be called group create inner. Type of content is going to be create menu option set from the current cell of the repeating group. And this is going to be a row because the element's going to be side by side. It's going to be no min width, so it goes full width there. min height, we can start it at 50. And we're gonna need some padding. So we could try 10 to start, 10s across the board. Now we can drop a text element in here, put that back in, and same thing with that we had before. Parent groups, create menus, display, not fixed width, min width 0, min height 0, so that just collapses. And now that we have an element in there, let's just collapse everything else. So min height on the group, put the 0, so that closes up. Min height on the repeating group, 0, so that also closes up. Minimum height on the floating group, 0. There you go. Nice and tight. Now Instagram had some icons beside this. Let's just take a quick look at this first. Okay, looking better. Got some padding. It's nice and small. Actually, we might want just a little bit more padding. Let's do 15. Okay, so we need icons. So let's just grab an icon element, chuck it in here. It's a little large. Let's just do a rocket for now. All right, this will be fixed width actually. We'll do 30. That's how big all our other icons here. So we'll just stay consistent. And we want this at the beginning, not the end. So here, make first or previous. Either one works in this case. And finally, if we go here, you'll see the icon and the text a little tight. We should add some space between those two. And you can do that with on group, create inner, apply gap spacing. This will be column gap. Try 20. Nice. Okay, rockets are cool, but we don't need rockets for our Instagram clone. So how do I make this icon change for each row? Because I can't edit these other rows since we're in a repeating group. You can only edit the first one. It has to be dynamic somehow. I'm going to do it with a conditional statement. So on the icon, this is going to be the first one, which will be post. We don't have a grid here. I'm just going to use this as my post icon. Close enough for me for now. Now I want this to change based on the option. So I can do a condition here that says parent groups create menus, display is story. So if it's story, let's change it. Icon equals, we'll do a plus button for story and add another one. Copy this. Paste. If it is, what was the next one? Real. Change the icon. We'll use this one. One more. Copy, paste. If it is live, again, we don't have the exact icons, but I'll just use a microphone for live. There are other icon libraries you can use that you can install with plugins. For example, material, or if you just type in icon, material icons, feather icons. Haven't tried Iconify, but anyways, you can try those if you want. We're just going to use the default bubble icons. Okay, let's try that out. Didn't work. But why? Do they need to be capitalized? Yes, they do. Learn something new today. Now we have a different icon for each row in the repeating group. Couple more cleanup things I want to do here. I want to make sure this is centered in the row and make sure that our style matches the rest of our app. So here on the text, vertical alignment, we'll center that, and the icon, see it's pushing up a bit, center that. And the text for the style, we were using Robo 12, 14, 16. Looks good. One thing we're missing here is there's a little create header on the top of our floating group here on Instagram. We'll add the same thing in. So grab a group, throw it in. Whoa! Call it group create header. Row is fine, min width 0, min height, let's do 50 to start. This is in the wrong spot. I want this to be above the repeating group, not in the repeating group. I'm just gonna go to my element tree, open up the repeating group, take this thing, put it in the floating group. Nope. There, good. So it's sitting above the repeating group now. Throw some text in there, just type in create. Style will be 16. I want it centered and bolded though, so let's just remove this, bold, center. Not fixed width. Spans the whole width. And no min height. And now the outer group. No min height. We do want some padding though. 10, 10 on top and bottom. And we need a border. So on the group, where's the group? It's underneath here. Select first parent, there's the group. Let's do a outset shadow style. We could use a border, we could do this as well. Vertical offset 1 puts it on the bottom. These all could be 0. Black with some opacity, and let's make the repeating group borders the same. Oh, that's not the repeating group. Put that back. There it is. Separato solid color, black, 10. Something's a little off with the padding. Oh, I don't want margin, sorry. This should be padding. Let's see if that fixes that. Yep, that looks better. Create border, and all separated by a nice thin line. Moving on. So, what happens when you click on search or messages or activity? Well, create, we already have one, but what happens if you click post or reel? It needs to go somewhere. Let's hide the create group. We don't need that now. So let's work on search first. I'm gonna grab a group. Actually, I'm gonna open my index settings here, and let's open up the page a bit. So min height, let's try 1000. There we go, so we got some more space here. Now we're gonna grab a group, throw it on screen. Call this group stories. No, group search. Make it a column. Make it 100 pixels height for now. And let's make it blue so we can see it. Okay, here's group search. I'm gonna throw text in there that says search page. So let's talk about how navigation is going to work. We have this blue group here called group search. Now this is going to show when you click on the search icon, and everything else on the page is going to hide. And we're going to have a group for each page in our application. Now by stacking everything on a single page, we can show and hide the different groups using page parameters and conditions. We'll go over that in 1 second. The parameters and conditions that we set is going to tell Bubble which groups to show and which ones to hide. I have another video, which is linked on the screen and in the description, that goes over why we design for mobile on a single page in more detail. But basically your app will be snappier if you don't have to wait for a new page to load. And also the process of submitting your app to an app store will be much easier if everything is on a single page. Moving on. We want to start a workflow on our search icon. So we're going to start edit workflow. And here we're going to go to page. But we're going to go to the same page. In this case, it's index. And we're going to check send more parameters to the page. Add another parameter. We'll call this page. And the parameter we'll call search. Okay, that's all we need to know for now. Now, on group search, we're going to go to conditional, define a condition, search for get data from page URL, type parameter, we named it page. When the parameter called page from the page is search, this element is visible equals yes, and we'll make it not visible by default. So I click search. Here it is at the bottom. All this other stuff is still showing though, so we want to hide all of this. So if we look at our element tree, we have group stories and repeating group posts. These could be combined into one group, but they don't have to be. So we'll call these two will show when the page parameter is home. So put a condition in here as well. Search for get data from page URL when the parameter page is home. This element is visible is yes. Not visible on page load. Right click, copy expression, because we're going to go to this repeating group and do the same thing here. Icon heart, I think we named those wrong, so let's go back to design for a sec and make sure these are named correctly. This is icon search. So this is why you try to name things as best as you can, because now I can copy and paste that, change the element to icon home. So when you click on icon home, we're going to make the page parameter be home. So we're going to the same page, we're just changing the parameter. So if we look at the URL, this is the parameter we set up. So right now page equals search. And that's going to happen when you click on search. What if I change this to page equals home? Now we have our feed. So if I click search, see that changed? Home. So we're showing and hiding based on page parameter. So now we have stories and the feed because we set a condition that said if the parameter is home, then show that. If the parameter is search, then show our blue group, which we lost. Where is it? Oh, it's way at the bottom. Why is that? I will show you. We need to make sure that, so let's start with group stories. Layout, collapse when hidden. So it was keeping all that space there, but we want to collapse it when it's hidden. Same thing on repeating group, collapse when hidden. Same thing on our group search, collapse when hidden. Okay, so here page equals home. If we click on search, we have our blue group. Click on home. We have this group. And we're not seeing our text. That's because it's hidden behind the navigation menu here. So we need some margin on our blue group search. Layout margin, I believe that was 70. We can double check. So on Group stories, we had 50. So maybe it's 50. There we go, search page. Let's do the rest. We need a profile page, so I'm just going to copy paste. It's hidden by default. There it is. Group Pro Guile. And we need one for activity. We also need to update the conditions. So on the profile page group, conditional, when the parameter is profile, then we show it. Okay, and now in our workflow section, we have home and search. Copy and paste this. We want an activity. And when you click it, we're going to change the parameter to activity. Okay, so we're on search here. If I click home, opens up stories in the feed. Search goes back to search. Activity goes to activity. Messages goes to messages. Profile's hidden behind build on bubble. Ah! Trust me, it works. And create opens up our floating group. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for this video. If you go to buildappswithoutcode.com/Instagram clone, I will send you the link to this exact bubble project right here in view only mode, so you can actually click around and see exactly how we did this. I appreciate you watching. If you learned something today, please subscribe. It lets me know that people are watching and gives me the motivation I need to continue to make these videos. And finally, you're awesome. Don't forget it. You're going to be a pro bubbler in no time. Just do a little bit every day. Much love. Peace. See you in the next one. Bye.